Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for being here. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Starting it off, Roald Dahl's Matilda is coming to West Bloomfield High School stage tomorrow. Opening night is May 1st at 7 p.m. with additional events, evening performances, I should say, on May 2nd and 3rd, plus a special matinee at 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 3rd as well. At a recent school board meeting, the cast gave a surprise performance treating board members and community guests to a live preview of the show.
Every year, the West Bloomfield High School Theater Department puts on a wide variety of shows for everyone in the community. And very soon, this talented team will be taking the stage once again for their spring musical of the Roald Dahl classic, Matilda. But it's not just the actors who gain a wealth of knowledge from this experience, as students also take on the role of directing the musical and helping to make their creative vision come alive.
It has been really amazing. I am very grateful for this opportunity. I have really wanted to get into directing and just step into that side of the world from just differentiating myself from an actor. And I think that working with my partner has really just made it top tier, and I just really enjoyed it.
What made you develop an interest in directing?
I just had a ton of ideas, and from an acting standpoint, you're not really supposed to just, throw your ideas out there. And so being able to do that and throw my artistic vision into something and watch it come to life on stage was something I was really interested in. It's really beautiful each time, especially with starting from the beginning. You get to see the actors really grow into their characters, and not only grow as their character, but into who they are as a person.
What I have noticed is that, I've been made more aware of myself, and as an actor, I think I've gained more respect, and in a sense, because when you're just an actor, when the director's tripping or just has some type of I see why now. I see how to be more kind and have a better understanding. So I think that's one thing I've learned.
What would be some of the challenges that you think people might not be aware of when tackling something like this?
When you come from being a friend to your peers, to someone that's higher over them, I feel like respect is something that could be a challenge. Having people see you as something different, you have to really assert yourself in a way for them to really understand who you are, for them to take you serious. I feel like that's something that's a challenge.
I feel like people aren't really aware of how much work we really do put in. We are here all the time, every day, and it's not a bad thing at all. That's why our productions are so good. You talk to your friends and you're like, yeah, I'm here till 6:30. Yeah, I'm here till 9 o'clock. And they're like, wow, I can never do that. But it doesn't feel like work. Never does. It's just always real fun.
What's it been like to work closely with some of the main directors and the teachers in this way, and to learn from them and to work alongside them?
It has gained me more respect for them, and a better understanding. When working with the main directors, I just see a different side of them that I didn't see as an actor. I get to understand their point of view, and I feel like I've gained a better bond with them. And then working so closely with somebody that's my peer has really made us closer, and that will probably be a long-lasting friendship.
Theater is something that means the world to me, and it's literally the only thing that I do. And I put my soul, my heart into everything. And even in schoolwork, it's something you can always take with you, to put your 100% into everything.
As with so many things in life, it's the people behind the scenes that help make the vision come alive. Best of luck to both of our directors and everyone on the Matilda team. And here's hoping that this year's high school theater season ends on a high note. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
It's crazy how fun that looks, and they are actually working, rehearsing and practicing their lines and just getting the set ready for Matilda, which is coming to West Bloomfield once again tomorrow, May 1st. Once again, a very special event that these students and staff have prepared for. If you're watching on CivicCenterTV.com, scan that QR code on your screen with your smartphone. It'll send you a link directly to the site so that you can purchase those tickets to support our youth in the West Bloomfield High School Theater Department. Heads up, Greater West Bloomfield drivers, Indian Trail Road will be closed to all through traffic this Saturday, May 3rd, from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a special event at Orchard Lake St. Mary's Preparatory. Now, barricades will be set up at Orchard Lake Cemetery and Commerce Road, Orchard Lake Seminary and Commerce Roads. Residents on Indian Trail will still have access to their homes via Orchard Lake Road or Seminary, but there will be no through traffic between Commerce and Seminary Road. So regatta participants must enter from Commerce, while spectators can access parking via Seminary as well. Just saying all that so you can plan ahead and take alternative routes if necessary and if possible. Do you know a local legend who's made a lasting impact in our community? It's time to nominate them for the 15th annual Key to the Township Awards Breakfast, hosted by the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. This is your chance to recognize those who go above and beyond business, or go above and beyond, from Business Person of the Year to Young Entrepreneur of the Year. Categories also include Health and Wellness Champion, Leadership Excellence, and Spirit of the Community. Nominate today, just to be sure to submit your entry by June 1st. The awards breakfast will take place July 30th at Wabeek Country Club. Don't miss this opportunity to give our change makers the recognitions they deserve. Visit the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce Facebook page for more at West Bloomfield CC. This week, students had the opportunity to thank medical professionals at Henry Ford Hospital, West Bloomfield, where they shadowed doctors and specialists along with 10 field trip experiences. Students also received valuable training on HIPAA and blood-borne pathogens. A special thank you goes out to WBSD West Bloomfield School District alum, Regional Chief Medical Officer Manu Maltroa, who addressed the students, praising them for their energy that they bring to the hospital. Dr. Wilfred Allen highlighted the importance of the program in helping students explore various medical fields, calling West Bloomfield's program one of the best he's ever seen. A big thank you to Lisa Zanotti Urich, excuse me if I pronounced that name wrong, for making these real-world experiences possible for these students. Real ID deadline is approaching. It is May 7, 2025. And after this date, travelers must present a Real ID compliant form of identification or an alternative, such as a passport, in order to board domestic flights within the United States. Recently, we spoke with travel agent from Association Services Stellar Events and Travel, Kim Oderkirk, to tell us how it will affect us in Greater West Bloomfield and what we can do to prepare.
Travel agent Kim Oderkirk with Association Services Stellar Events and Travel. Kim, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Really, really good. Happy to have you with us for this very important topic. How are you helping Greater West Bloomfield travelers prepare for the Real ID deadline in May of 2025?
Well, I tell them that they need to get it. Most people think it's only for travel, but also federal buildings will not allow you to enter unless you have that real ID, which is the star at the upper right corner. And it's all states require it. It's not just a Michigan thing. It's not just West Bloomfield. All states will require it. The District of Columbia and all 5 territories. So make sure you have that real ID. Also, to go to the Secretary of State, you need to take your passport. If you don't have your passport, you need to get a passport, or you need to go on the site for Secretary of State and see what documents you can use to get that real ID.
All right, great tidbits to keep in mind. And I'm curious, what kind of questions do you tend to get from local clients who are concerned about ID requirements for summer travel?
Well, some of them are like, well, I don't have it. So, but if you have a passport, you can always use your passport to board any flight to get into federal buildings. So most of them are asking me, why do I need it? What's the deadline? Again, it's May 7th, so it's coming up pretty quick. So those are kinds of the main questions, why do I need it and when do I have to have it by?
All right, yes, of course, keep big questions to keep in mind. Now, of course, a lot of families are going to be traveling possibly with young kids who might not be aware of what any of this is, and possibly seniors who might have forgotten to refill out these forms a while back. How do you work with families, especially those traveling with kids or seniors, to ensure that everyone is travel ready?
Right. So if you're under 18, you don't need a real ID. You just need the parent to have one. For seniors, you need to, go to Secretary of State, or you can call them. You can renew passports online now, which is new. So especially if you have one already and you just need to renew it, do it online. It'll be a lot faster and you'll get it quicker. Passports can take anywhere from 4 to 10 weeks, depending on the government. And you want to, the biggest tick I tell my people is make sure your passport is good 6 months after you want to get back into the United States. I've seen people stopped at the airport because their passport doesn't go out far enough for them to get back into the United States.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, these are very, very important things to keep in mind. That's something I didn't even think about. And for residents who haven't updated to Real ID yet, what's your advice on making the process smooth and stress-free?
Find out where your local Secretary of State office is, make an appointment. I've had mine for a long time, so I haven't been to the Secretary of State lately, but they were taking appointments. And then read to see what documents you need. If you have a passport, I think you're good to go. If you don't, you have to have an original birth certificate. You have to have your social security card. You have to have 2 documents that prove you live in Michigan and your address. So a lot more hoops if you don't have that passport, but make sure you get it done.
Of course. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have travel agent Kim Oderkirk talking to us about the importance of updating your Real ID, because the Real ID deadline is on May 7th of 2025. Now, are you seeing any changes in travel plans locally due to Real ID awareness or confusion?
I have not seen any. Most people, when they renewed their license, it automatically renewed to a Real ID. So most people have it. I've only talked to one person that didn't, and I said, well, you better make your appointment and go get it. Even if you don't travel, like I said, federal buildings are going to require you to show that. So if you're trying to get into a federal courthouse or, anything TSA, or, I don't know what other buildings, but, you're going to have to check that location and see if you are required to show a Real ID.
Of course. Now, it seems like we're coming up on a very, very big travel season. Maybe people might be taking a late spring break trip or possibly an early Memorial Day weekend. What travel tips do you have for West Bloomfield residents who may be booking trips around that time and who might be a little concerned about the deadline?
Well, again, passport works for everything. So, hopefully you have your passport. If you're going domestic, you don't need to worry about the 6 months, but you can still use your passport to get on any flight. And then, like I said, if you know you're going to travel, you make your appointment at Secretary of State, get your real ID, and just make sure you're in compliance.
Of course. And then, Kim, in your role as a travel advisor, how can you help community members avoid some last-minute issues at big TSA checkpoints, especially those who might be unaware of some of the new rules?
Well, TSA, so if you want to get through, get past that long TSA line, make sure you have a known traveler's number. So it's an $85 fee. You go in, they do your fingerprints, and then you can go through the TSA line. I know in the next 5 years, I'm actually going to travel out of the country. I want to go to Australia. So my husband and I, we did global entry. That's $120 each, but that lets me go through a faster line. It lets me do faster customs to come back into the country. Most of it's all about getting back into the United States, not so much as leaving the country. So that's what you want to make sure. Anybody going on a cruise, some people are confused about cruises. Always take your passport on a cruise. I don't care if you're, U.S. city to U.S. city. Any of those ports that require a passport will require that cruise to have a passport.
Of course, always have your passport on you for any form of travel. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much.
And carry it on you, Jake, too. Don't leave it in your hotel room or anything. Make sure you have that passport on you. If you have a problem in another country, you want to be able to get home.
Of course, absolutely. Kim, thank you so much for joining us here on The Splash. One more question before we let you go. Where can people go to gain a little more information about the deadline and what to do?
Okay, so I looked that up, and it is travel.state.gov.
All right, very important website to make sure that you are up to date on all of the information. Kim, thank you so much for joining us on The Splash.
Thanks, Jake.
Professionals like Kim Oderkirk can help ensure travelers are prepared with the correct documentation and provide guidance for families, seniors, and group travelers. For more information on real ID requirements, though, go directly to the state's website, michigan.gov, for more information. Jeff Dwoskin's comedic journey began right here in Metro Detroit, specifically in West Bloomfield, where he won the Puritan Protege Contest in 2007, eventually performing at Detroit's Comedy Castle and even sharing the stage with Tim Allen. His podcast, originally a side project, has gained significant popularity, placing it in the top 1.5% of most listened to podcasts. We spoke to Jeff to tell us more about his podcast and his podcasting journey. We have Jeff Dwoskin joining us. Thank you so much for being here, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? Great to be here.
Doing just fine. I see it looks like you have a nice setup. Is this your podcast setup that we're looking at right now?
It is. It is my podcast setup. Yeah,
love that. So if you're watching on civiccentertv.com, you can see his lovely setup right there. But let's get straight into it. What inspired you to dive into the wonderful world of podcasting during the pandemic?
I always wanted to do podcasting. I originally was really into social media. Well, I still am. And I was going to start a social media-based podcast in 2017. Called Viral Intentions. And I kind of just sat on it for a long time. I was really into Twitter at the time and, just Viral Intentions, kind of like Cruel Intentions, the movie. I thought it was, a good play on words. And I just sat on it. And then come March 2020, the pandemic hits and we all are home with some extra time in our hands. And I'm like, oh, I have time finally to do my podcast and realize I can't start a podcast called Viral Intentions in the middle of a pandemic. And so
good one.
I mean, that's not even a joke. That is literally what happened. And I had everything. And so I had to change it. It was originally called The Jeff Dwoskin Show and involved the classic conversations as I kind of understood what I was, where I was going with this. And so, but it was always interviews and talking to famous people. I've always loved going to Comic-Cons, the Motor City Comic-Con every year, meeting the celebrities. You can see they by tens on my wall. if you're watching. And that's what I did. I loved it. So when I'm like, wait, they'll talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can do this. I can do this.
You never know who you can, who will respond to you if you just reach out on social media, be like, hey, I'm starting a podcast or I'm doing a pod. I would love to have you. And then next thing you know, that, hey, I'm down. I'll do it. You can nowadays we can just do it from Zoom or do it remotely. It makes things so much easier. Everyone can be a professional interviewer, podcaster, but it makes a difference when you're consistent and you're growing and doing the things like you're doing to become in the top 1.5% of all listened to podcasts. I want to get into your lineup of guests, right? It reads like a tribute to classic television. What draws you to these particular stars and shows?
It's a lot of it's people that I grew up watching, and people from the Brady Bunch, Cousin Oliver and Peter and Cindy and the Love Boat, Isaac, Gopher, and Doc, Happy Days, Ralph Malv and Potsy and Mrs. Cunningham. So these are people I grew up watching, and so to be able to spend time with them and just talk to them about their careers and how they got to where they got to. It's just fascinating, and it's sort of a little dream come true. So it's, once they started saying yes, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, all right, we got something here. So, yeah.
No, you definitely, what I want to highlight is the fact that you definitely tapped into a market. For you to find that lane and then consistently do what you do to put out that content and then grow into the position that you're in, that says a lot. You're in the top 1.5% of listened to podcasts. A remarkable feat. What do you think resonated so strongly with your audience for you to grow to where you are now?
I think if you're in the right demographic and you see these folks, you want to hear them. And I focus the conversations on conversations that I'd want to hear. They're literally conversations. Like I try to make it sound like I've known these folks and we're talking, we've known each other forever.
Right.
Even though that's not the case. And I put a lot of time into those conversations, and I think the end result of my conversations with these folks, even if they talk to other folks, I usually get something unique in the collaboration. And this particular interview is special.
Yeah. That's kind of my approach too when I think about it, Jeff. I like to talk to strangers like I knew them, like we just got done talking like 5 minutes ago. Let's just pick up from right here. And I've never met you a day in my life. I think that builds organic chemistry between people sometimes. You'd be surprised how that goes. But with us right here live on The Splash, host of the Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin, talking about his success and consistency of creating a podcast in a very saturated market, by the way. With that being said, I know you have a background in comedy. We've already kind of went over that. And also digital media. Just talk about how these two skills/tools have also helped your podcast and platform stand out.
Absolutely. Well, I think being a stand-up comic for 20 years helps me kind of engage and chat and removes a little bit of the fear of talking to somebody. And I can kind of tap into places maybe that other people might not or might not feel comfortable, but I can do it in a way just because I'm used to kind of engaging with people in that particular way and kind of, connecting on that level.
Right.
Digital marketing, it just helps that, I just kind of understand the landscape. I think you have to be really good at social these days to kind of get the word out and promote yourself. It's a lot of self-promotion.
Yeah, and you have to use those tools. That alone can kind of show you or kind of help you stand out. That can make you show up in algorithms. I'll say mastering the digital media side, the SEO side. But how can you keep their attention? You can capture their attention by popping up in the algorithms, but can you keep their attention? Can you keep them engaged? Can you keep them wanting to know what you're doing next in that type of sense? So with that being said, how do you kind of line up or come to the idea of what you're going to feature in the next episode, who you're going to interview and things of that nature?
Well, a lot of it sometimes is, you reach out to 10 people. Sometimes 5 say yes, and sometimes 1 says yes, and sometimes none say yes. So, you go to the next group. My focus is always, which is what I tell anyone, it's like, You can't beat the algorithms. They're going to change underneath you. Just focus on doing good content and good
point.
things. And, you know, everything kind of works out in the end. So that's my focus, is just sort of, you know, doing what I want to do. I do record ahead of, you know, a lot ahead of time. Like, I'm not recording today and it releases next Monday type of thing.
Okay.
One thing that's different from my podcast than others, I mean, a lot of times they're talking about books, but those books are about their life. So it works perfect for the format that I have. But I'm not like a promotion thing. I'm not like, oh, hey, all right, well, your new show is on Amazon tomorrow and blah, blah. You know, it's not like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to then, because I have such a backlog of interviews recorded, I can kind of pace it out, and famous person you haven't heard of, but is just as interesting. A lot of the interviews that I do that people may not even understand who they are, because they weren't Penny on Lost in Space, or they weren't, you know, Cagney from Cagney and Lazy. They were Joe Alves, the guy that created the shark in Jaws and made all that visual work. And every visual element, if you're familiar with the movie Close Encounters of the Third Time, that you can think of, this guy Joe Alves is responsible for. And so, like, that interview in itself is amazing. It's one of those kind of gems, and there's a lot of those type of gems where you're like, I don't know who this person is, but it's likely their stories are very robust, very amazing, and they're kind of the behind the scenes of the things that you do know about.
I love that perspective. Every now and then you'll stumble across an interview on YouTube. It'll be somebody, I was the executive or assistant production manager or director of such and such movie, but then they have so many stories or different angles or never before heard of stories. You'll be like, wow, I never knew that. So I love that you're bringing that to that, because those are gems, like you said, those hidden stories that you're bringing to the world and to the digital media in general. So keep doing that good work right there. I love that. I'm an advocate for it. Real quick, any guests, dream guest that you want to have that you have not yet had?
I would love to have Henry Winkler on my show. That's sort of like my dream guest.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, Steven Spielberg, those would all be great.
Okay. Names I'm familiar with. I like that. Yeah. Hey, good luck. We hopefully you'll get those. Last question. You mentioned bringing a bit of Michigan into your episodes whenever you can. Can you just talk about the role that Michigan or your Michigan background plays in shaping the podcast, if it does at all?
Yeah, you know, a lot of times when I'm reading someone's memoir or something, like Dean Butler, he was Almanzo on Little House on the Prairie. So he was the one that married Melissa Gilbert's character. If you need to paint it a little more on that. So I'm reading his thing, and it's just, he starts talking about Frankenmuth, Michigan in his memoir. And so we ended up having a conversation about that, because I like to dive into that, because it's like no one else is really going to ask him about that. Right. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, because he was a huge Christmas fan. So we ended up talking about Bronner's, that Christmas Wonderland. And then, I introduced him, but for some reason he hadn't had the fried chicken. So it was like, he didn't go to either. I'm like, which one did you go to? And he's like, yeah, I didn't. I'm like, what? He's like, but he was really into the fudge. It's like, it was like, if you can bring that. And a lot of times they come through Michigan a lot. You know what I mean? Like that, it's been a part of their journey as well, just because Michigan is such a hot spot for entertainment or performing. So it's likely that at some point they've been here.
Yes. Hey, Jeff, thank you so much for bringing some laughs, some perspectives to us, and your podcast. Once again, just tell people how they can watch and or listen to your podcast on any platform, please.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a podcast listener, you can go to anyone, type in Classic Conversations. If you also add in my name, Jeff Dwoskin, it probably comes up a little easier. Classic, jeffisfunny.com is my website. You can hit that up. That's the easiest thing to remember, probably. And then you can link to any podcasts from there, any player from there as well. So, yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you so much again, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who aspire to do podcasts can get a lot of gems out of this information, out of this interview. Once again, host of Classic Conversations podcast, Jeff Dwoskin. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Great conversation with Jeff, by the way. And you can keep up with Jeff Dwoskin, Dwoskin, and his Classic Conversations podcast. Like he said, just go directly to his website, jeffisfunny.com, so you can follow along his journey as well. Coming up, it's a lot of great events happening in Greater West Bloomfield, especially now that the weather is starting to officially break a little bit. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in our community. But first, we're live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
So much is happening in your community. Join Jake, Tyler, and Kevin for local events and developments on The Splash Live, weekdays at 10 a.m. on CivicCenterTV.com, YouTube, and Facebook.
It's that time of year again. Gather around to honor our community's volunteers at the 53rd Annual Michigan Week Awards. Watch as these local stars are honored for their leadership, dedication, and passion in their community. For more information or to register, go to MichiganWeek.org. Catch the live broadcast May 9th
On CivicCenterTV.com or on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at CivicCenterTV.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for being here. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. The Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce will be hosting various events in our community this spring and summer, giving local residents an opportunity to not only keep up and learn about what's happening in their community, but also learn about different opportunities as well. Here on The Splash Live to discuss many events planned by the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce is Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce for Greater West Bloomfield, Suzanne Levine. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me on this really beautiful spring day.
I know, right? Couldn't have said it better, Suzanne. So just overall, I gave a generic overview of some things, but can you just explain maybe in a little bit more detail of some of the key events that the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce is hosting?
Well, we're really excited because we have a whole different array of events this year, starting we always have our Cup of Connections and our wealth meetings, wellness and health professionals, but we're going to have our 15th annual health fair at June 11th at the Westville Township. This is a great event. There's still time for people to, purchase a table, but it's open free to the public, and it's a great way to get to know all the different health options in your community. Right. So we're really excited, and I'm pretty sure that you're covering it, so hopefully we'll see you there. It's just a really wonderful way to introduce the community to things that they might not know, and to also for our small businesses to let the community know what they offer.
Right.
So it's just really, we love this event, and we're so grateful to you and to West Bloomfield Parks and Rec and to West Bloomfield Township for letting us host this event.
Yes, one of many events, by the way, too. Yeah, you were going to explain more, please.
Yes, July 30th, we're going back and we're revisiting our Key to the Township Awards, and it's going to I've sent out the nomination form. There's 5 different categories, and you don't have to necessarily live in West Bloomfield as long as you work or play or have some connection. And this is a great event. In years past, we had Charlie Langton be the host, so we're hoping that he'll host it again because he's, talk about funny, he happens to have quite a bit of interest and zest to any event. So this should be a great way to honor people that don't necessarily get the recognition. The Business Leader of the Year, the Spirit of the Community, a young entrepreneur, health wellness. And then I have my secret chamber member of the year that I present that night. So it's just really a great event to honor people in your community. So I hope people will nominate and attend this event and show appreciation for all the people that work diligently to support our community.
Oh, that's so exciting, Suzanne. First and foremost, yes, we will be covering that health and wellness fair, by the way, June 11th. So, yes, we will be there. That's very exciting, giving residents an opportunity to check out different healthcare options and learn about different providers and things of that nature. But like you said, also, I love I just love in general that you have that openness for the Key to the Township nominations. We just saw that form go out recently, and we spoke about that. But like you said, just nominating people who are making a difference, the movers and shakers, and like you said, whether they work, live, or play right here in West Bloomfield, but they make an impact. So I love to hear. Now, we've heard about the events that are annual events that's been repeated, but are there any new or first-time events plans for this year's summer lineup?
Well, we did relaunch our Business Innovation Generator.
Right.
That was at Ferrari, which was an event. We're really excited. So we're going to be doing those once in a quarter. The next one will be at Planterra. We don't have a topic yet or a date, but it was just a great networking event to bring our diverse community together. And of course, the cars were the stars. Not that Jeff Collins wasn't great, and it was really interesting to hear his story about how he got started and what he had to do to actually earn the Ferrari dealership. It was quite a process. So, and we were very grateful to them for hosting. I'm hoping that I could actually live in one of the cars. If I sold my house, I could do it.
Right? Oh, my goodness. No, completely different level. And we saw that. We covered that event, too. Great event, by the way, that you all put on right here in our community. Unique location and everything. Highlighted the Ferrari dealership. I think that was beautiful. With me right here live on The Splash, by the way, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, Suzanne Levine, talking about their upcoming spring and summer events. So many going on that we are highlighting. I want you to talk about the effectiveness of the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce and the impact that they have by explaining how these events support local businesses and the broader community.
But I think it's really important to highlight our community. We have so many unique businesses. We have a lot of course, healthcare, but we have a lot of interesting boutique type of businesses, shops, and especially with Shop Local, it's very important, especially during this economy, to make sure that we support our local businesses. So I'm really excited when we have a big networking event to introduce people. I'm sort of like your mother, and I will kind of drag you along. The difference is I don't get the same eye rolls like I do for my kids when I try to tell them something. But it's really amazing when we have our Cup of Connections or our wealth meetings, we have them in local businesses. And these are businesses, some of them have been established for a long time, but for some reason, people aren't even aware that they exist. So it's a great way to highlight your business. We bring people in, they network, you just offer a light refreshment, coffee, maybe, a bagel or a cookie or something, but really people are there to network and connect. And so we just did one at True Natural Spa. And this woman's been there for a while, Ava Lee, and it's really an amazing business. She has salt baths and aromatherapy and massage and all kinds of unique, she's from Korea. So South Korea is very much in the forefront of healthcare and also skincare. So it was really interesting to learn about some of the things that she was doing there. So this is just a great opportunity for businesses to highlight their business, bring people in, connect the community, and maybe you make a connection with someone that you never met before, and do some business, whether it's just even putting their business card, in your business, which is great.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Those two main things that you talked about, I think is very important. Not only highlighting local businesses that we probably drive past every day and don't pay attention to, but also just connecting local business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs with the community as well. So well said for providing that angle. Now, just since we were talking about some of these events that have been repeated, that are annual, or monthly even, with that being said, how does the Chamber incorporate feedback from some of these past events into future planning?
Well, usually I try to send out a survey, or at least I ask the people that attended the event how they felt about it. What would they see to be improved? Funny enough, I said I would never do another golf outing after last year, but we are planning on one at a local at Twin Beach.
Okay.
And a lot of people aren't even aware that this, it's a 9-hole golf course. It's beautiful. So I think we're going to do one in the end of September. I'm sort of debating, but I think there has been a demand, and we do. And as you know, golf is a great way to do business.
Yes.
I probably should take it up, but I would probably be too frustrated, whacking that ball. So we're going to probably do that again, and we're going to, of course, have our repeat of our leadership breakfast. And we're thinking about doing something with the Lakes Area Chamber, maybe a game night. So
Okay.
that could be fun. We're trying to, reinvent the wheel a little bit. Of course, there's some things that are tried and true, like the leadership breakfast and the health fair. But we're really trying to think of ways to bring the community together and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get their business in front of other businesses and the community. It's really important. I don't care how many flyers you send out. There's
Right.
certain things, and we've talked about this a lot. Money and health are trust issues. So you're not just going to go to this. You're not just going to turn your money over to any financial advisor. You're not just going to have any home health care worker come into your home and take care of your parent. These are trust issues. So it's really important that these businesses send even one representative. I don't care if it's your mother that's
Yep.
coming meetings, someone that can promote your business, get to know you, get to know what you're about, so that they trust you, so that they're very willing to try you out.
No, I'm so glad you brought that. I forgot we talked about that last time, and that was so heavy too. People really take a lot of consideration when they're putting their money into financial businesses or structures, and also healthcare. So yeah, well said, and a great opportunity for people to come out and find out more information. We got to let you go, Suzanne. We appreciate you, but ultimately, if anybody does want to find out more information about the events or the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, how can they do so?
They can contact the chamber at wbloomfieldchamber@gmail.com. Go to our website, westbloomfieldchamber.com, or call me at 248-626-3636. And I'm happy to talk to people that aren't even chamber members to see if I can help direct them to the resources they need to survive.
Ooh, I like that. Man, being very helpful per usual. We want to thank you so much again. Executive Director from the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, Suzanne Levine. Thank you again.
Thank you again.
Always love it, love it. Pleasure talking to Suzanne. And once again, if you want to find out more information about all the events coming up in the spring and summer from the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, go to their website, westbloomfieldchamber.com, for more information. The spring and summer seasons at Marchbank Park are full of excitement and commotion. And the Kids Commotion returns this year with plenty of entertainment for the family. And with me live on the Splash is recreation programmer from WB Parks, Crystal Smith. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm doing very good. I'm excited for the warm weather we're getting and happy to be here.
I know, what a time to be outside. So Kids Commotion, let's start off with it general. Give out the information of who, what, where, when, and why of Kids Commotion.
Absolutely. Our dates are going to be Thursday, May 15th from 5 to 7, Thursday, June 12th from 10 to 12, and Thursday, August 21st from 10 to 12. For the May concert, you can expect some live music from Leonardo Entertainment from 5 to 6, and some special fairy tale characters from 6 to 7. And same with the timeline for June and August, live entertainment from 10 to 11, and fairy tale character visits from 11 to 12.
Sounds very exciting. Sounds very entertaining as well, and a lot to look forward to. So, with that being said, how does this year's lineup of entertainers and performers compare to last year or previous years?
Well, last year and previous years, we had several great bands come and entertain the children. This year, we're expecting Leonardo music, Rick and Dana's Playground, and the Steve and Trish Duo. They're all very talented children's performers who I know will engage the crowd during their 1 hour musical performance and get everybody dancing and grooving and enjoying that summer music and festivities with their families. So they're going to be a really great bunch to have come out this summer and perform for us.
Nice that you adding that uniqueness of the performance and the entertainment that we're all expecting to have some fun and enjoy as well. Now, I'm gonna say this. From what I'm getting about kids commotion, I haven't been there yet, but I'm seeing it as just like basically a concert for kids. Can you explain what makes Kids Commotion a standout event for West Bloomfield?
Absolutely. So not only do we have the 1 hour concert with live music, but we'll also finish the last hour with visits from some superheroes and some really favorite Disney characters coming to the park to take photos and interact with the children. We also have a variety of free inflatables that kids can jump in and go down the inflatable slides. The socks are required, and they will be available for purchase for $1 inside our lodge building with the Optimist Club. We're also really excited to be partnering with the West Bloomfield Township Public Library for this concert. Well, for all three concerts, actually. And families can expect a cool take-home craft or activity to engage in during the concert. So for those little ones that don't have the attention span to watch the concert the whole time, they can go jump their sillies out on the inflatables and engage with the library craft, get some ice cream from the Optimist Club, and play at the playground as well. So we have a lot of activity to do for them, and later on in the June and August months, we'll look forward to some nature activities as well from our naturalists here.
Okay, get them outside, out the house, away from those video games. No, I love that though, and I love that, like you said, you are also partnering with local organizations as well. We love to highlight that right here on Civic Center TV. And with me right here live on the Splash, by the way, from WB Parks Recreation Programmer Crystal Smith, talking about the upcoming Kids Commotion concert, a place where a kid can be a kid and just go
That's
wild.
right.
So how has the community responded to the concert series in the previous years?
In the previous years, we've always had such positive feedback from families. The kids really love it. It's something to get out and do, when school's out and summer's kicking off. It's a really great event to just enjoy some music, get your wiggles out, have a quick hot dog or hamburger with the Optimist Club, and just really be a part of the community. A lot of positive feedback from these events because they are free to the community, which is lovely. So it's an easy thing to do. It's 2 hours. You don't have to purchase from the Optimist Club. You can always bring snacks if you wish, but they are there with that tasty ice cream and cool waters to cool you off. So we encourage you to participate with us this summer and enjoy them. Really fun musicians. They come in all colors and band instruments, and we're looking forward to some fun music this summer.
Oh yeah, that'll keep their attention right there. And you said one of my favorite F words, free. That will definitely get me and anybody else out the house, if you ask me. So don't want to hold you up too much longer. Couple questions. One, what do you want families and children to take away from participating in this event?
I just want them to take home some fun memories, some fun photos with our superheroes and Disney characters.
There you go.
Enjoy bouncing in those inflatables and going down the slides at the park. We'll have our mascot Polly buzzing around to engage with the families as well. And he's really a great conversation starter for how to keep our parks pollinated and fresh with flowers and all the wonderful things that our nature team works so hard on in our parks. And then just partnering with our West Bloomfield Township Library and the Optimist Club. They're two great partners that have assisted with this event for a number of years now. And so we're just happy to keep them on board and there's always more information to gain from those two groups as well. So I think the families can take a lot from this free event,
Right.
from the joyful aspect to the educational aspect.
There we go. I would agree. And just real quick, if anyone wants to volunteer or maybe even sponsor the event, this event or future events, are there any opportunities for that, and how can they do so?
Absolutely. If anyone is interested in volunteering for any special one-day events or continuous events with even our Connect Senior Center, all of those can be found on the wbparks.org webpage under the About and the Volunteer tab. And there are sign-up links that'll give you more detailed information for each of those events listed. And then if anyone is interested in sponsorships, they can communicate with our marketing and coordinating manager. Megan Tahako will be happy to assist any interested sponsors.
Perfecto. Lastly, for anyone who just joined us, the who, what, where, when, and why of Kids Commotion this summer, please.
Absolutely. So our first concert kicks off May 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll have live music from 5 to 6 and fairy tale character visits from 6 to 7. The inflatables will be open and ready for use throughout the whole 2-hour event. Next up is June 12th from 10 to 12, and then our final Kids Commotion will end on Thursday, August 21st from 10 to 12.
There it is. A lot of excitement and a place for you to take your kids as well. Thank you so much again. We appreciate your time. From WB Parks Recreation Programmer, Crystal Smith. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. Have a better one, please. And thank you. You want to find out more information about what WB Parks has going on, Kids Commotion, etc., go directly to the website, wbparks.org. Continuously keeping you updated and keeping you up to date with different things going on in the community. We have more things that affect your daily life. We are live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Kevin McIntosh. Seriously Funny, How Israelis Laugh to Keep from Crying. It's a comedy special featuring Israeli-American comedian and educator Benji Lovett, who explores how humor helps Israelis and Jews around the world cope with life's toughest moments. We actually spoke to Benji and Rabbi Natalie Shribman to give more details on the event and why laughter is important right now for the Jewish community. Rabbi Natalie Shribman and comedian actor Benji Lovett. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
First and foremost, I appreciate it. I want to start with you, Rabbi, if you don't mind. Just give us the details of the event for people who are just joining us, the where, when also.
Yes, the event is on May 17th at 7 p.m. at Temple Koami in our buildings.
Perfect. So that's something that we're looking forward to in May. Now, can you just break down why it is important to feel joy and to laugh right now in the Jewish world?
Yes. Right now, we've been experiencing many challenging moments as a people and as individuals. And with each successive incident, there are many intense emotions building up inside of us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we have these emotions that we can't really share for fear of repercussions based on who we're sharing those emotions with. Mm. When we laugh, we're able to open ourselves to whatever we may be feeling and allow these emotions to escape. This is good for our overall health, our community to be laughing together collectively, and good for us as a people.
I would have to agree with that as well. So looking at it from a different perspective, Benji, the comedian, I want to speak from your perspective. How is laughter used in Judaism?
Well, I wouldn't say Judaism, the religion, so much as the Jewish people. And throughout our history, we say that we have laughed to keep from crying. And I have to say, it's very important for me to say to people who maybe haven't been to Israel before, I'm in Tel Aviv right now, and there's a war going on, and war is awful. And someone might say, how can you possibly laugh about anything right now? And the best way I explain it to Americans is that if I told you 5 years ago that we would go through a global pandemic and 1 million Americans would die, you would say, how could we ever laugh again?
Right.
Yet we watch Saturday Night Live with jokes about social distancing and masking and senior citizens not knowing how to use Zoom. So we don't laugh at the suffering, we laugh at what we're going through, because if we didn't, we would lose our minds. So I think it's a universal human tendency, but I can say as a Jew that we laugh because it's better than crying.
And that's a good point. And I'm glad you brought up, just like for an example, back in the pandemic and things of that nature, when everything was so different for everybody being in the house and doing things online. So from your perspective, what role does a live in-person performance play in healing or even uplifting the community compared to like online comedy?
Well, you're not going to find a comedian who prefers an online show. And I think if not for COVID, it wouldn't even exist. But comedy's complicated. I don't think most people understand that it's not just an art, it's a science. There's a lot that goes on there. And, there's the jokes the comedian says, but it's really about the relationship between the comedian and the audience. And it's the only art form, really, that depends on the reaction of the audience. You can have a band playing, and it can be background music. If people don't cheer, it doesn't mean they didn't enjoy it. But when you can have that connection and something happens live, unexpected in the audience, and the comedian makes them laugh, magic happens. Yeah. And so many times I've had people tell me, thank you for making me laugh. Thank you for reminding me why it's okay to have fun. A live comedy show, there's nothing like it.
I know, right? As someone who loves comedy itself, specifically even live comedy, I completely understand the reaction time is different, the engagement is different, and it just hits a lot different as well. With us right here live on The Splash, by the way, Temple Cole Ami's Rabbi Natalie Shribman and comedian actor Benji Lovett talking about the upcoming spring fundraiser that features Israeli-American comedian and educator Benji Lovett. Just talking about the event and laughter in general and why it's important. So going to you, Rabbi, I want to just find out, how do you feel laughter fits into this time of year for the Jewish calendar, I should say, specifically?
Right. So the Jewish people just celebrated Passover. It's our collective liberation holiday. And now we are counting our days toward the next holiday of Shavuot, when we receive the Torah. And in between those two holidays, it's a time of wilderness, uncertainty, and we don't know what the future is going to hold. And so when we laugh, we can give ourselves like sustainment and feel ready for the journey ahead. And when we count the days between Passover and Shavuot, we're counting the Omer. This was once a time of mourning. And when Benji Lovett comes to town, it's actually the weekend of Lag BaOmer, when the mourning can be broken for one day and joyous occasions can occur of laughter. So how serendipitous it is to have a comedian who will help us laugh and get in touch with our emotions more clearly for the next couple of weeks of the Omer until Shavuot.
I love that. Makes sense. It's all in divine order. It's supposed to be what it is, and I love to hear that. So continuing on with you, Rabbi, I just want to know, Greater West Bloomfield, we actually pride ourselves on volunteerism and charity. So how do you hope this fundraiser deepens the Temple's partnership with local civic groups and families as well?
I think, as Benji was saying earlier, he lives in Israel and he's experiencing all these somewhat terrible events. And us, removed from Israel, we're just reading about it in the media. And so it's much different to hear about it from the person who's living in these events that are being described. Our tradition teaches us that we are more powerful when we're together. And at times of global uncertainty in our country, in our town, in our own Judaism, we need to be together for whatever reason so we can strengthen our community, our unity as a single community.
Very inspiring and very good to hear as well. Don't want to hold you two up too much longer. Just want to ask you a few more questions before we let you go. And this question I want both of you to answer, starting with you, Benji. What message or messages of hope and unity do you anticipate resonating most strongly with the diverse Greater West Bloomfield audience?
I guess I would say it's okay to laugh. And I've lived abroad outside the States for 18 years now. And, I'm still American in many ways. I'm Israeli in many ways. But the Israeli in me realizes that sometimes we're Americans, we're not so great at understanding when we can laugh. And I feel like comedians are often misunderstood. We say, you can't say that, you can't say that, that's offensive. Comedians are really usually not trying to offend. We're usually trying to cheer you up and have a good time. And, I just want to say life is hard. After 9/11, somehow we moved on, and after Corona. And, I don't want to minimize any of the horrible stuff going on here or in the States, but, it is human to cry. It is equally human to laugh. And if we can't do that, then how are we going to have the strength to even keep fighting the good fight? So it's okay to laugh, and it just should remind us that we got to keep going.
I love that response, too. And you too, Rabbi?
So I think that when we're all together, hope can manifest more easily because we have the support of each other to lean on in difficult times. When I've heard about how people are responding to this difficult time in Israel, there's been lots of laughter, memorializing, and remembering. And there can be a lot of creativity in how we do that. And that also can inspire hope. We've seen Israel still continuing on. It hasn't stopped them, this war, and it's made us feel like we are stagnant, and we are still able to continue fighting and giving something to the world. And so the purpose is for us to gather together, to laugh, and even more so just to be together. To hope we can find opportunities in addition to this to be together and to visit with each other as well.
Perfect. And lastly, just to ask you, continuing on with you, Rabbi, how do you think we continue to use humor and these shared cultural experiences to nurture understanding and resilience across our community?
I think humor teaches us a lot about the place that we're living in and the place that the people who we are with. Once we have found a chance to laugh together, to share that emotion, it's perhaps as if we can understand each other as well.
Same question to you, Benji?
Comedy's magic. I've lived in 2 democratic countries before, and one of the great things about living in a democracy is comedians can make fun of anything, and you can say anything. And, if we can laugh together, we can live together. I don't know who said it, but it's hard to hate someone when they're making you laugh. And we can get upset and angry about debate and dialogue, but if we can just laugh, it reminds us that not to take so many things so seriously. There's a lot to take seriously, but we have to also know how to be happy in life, otherwise we will lose our minds.
100% agree with that. And Benji, before we let you go, the details, who, where, when, and why people can see you coming to Greater West Bloomfield in May.
That's going to be May 17th, I believe, at Call on Me. I don't have the time because I'm 7 hours ahead of you guys, but Rabbi, did I get that right?
Yes, 7 p.m.
Saturday night. Awesome. See you there.
Perfect. Once again, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate your time, and thank you so much for bringing laughter to our community during a time it is definitely needed. Once again, from Temple Call on Me, Rabbi Natalie Shribman, and comedian, actor Benji Lovett. Thank you both.
Thank you.
A great event to look forward to in Greater West Bloomfield. For more information or to purchase tickets, go to Temple Call Ami's website, tcoleami.org. That's TKOLAMI.org. Want to thank you so much for joining us today. Also, I've been your host, Kevin McIntosh, and per usual, we are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.